Hello and good evening to all of you. Good evening and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh, and in this video we shall discuss the current affairs and Gazette magazine for 22nd November 2021. Good evening, uh, good evening to Sam. Good evening, Amlan. Hello, you guys. Hi, Babani. Hello, Azim. How are you? Hi, Ashish. Good evening to you. Thank you for giving me such a wonderful input. I will keep working towards the fact that you are preparing and my support completely along with what we provide at Edukemy. So thank you for this wait. I would like to have an input from you. I see some of you waiting right from 6 o'clock. Should I begin dot at 6 o'clock or should I wait for a while for other people to join? You have to give me this input and accordingly we will start at that particular time, because I have seen some of you being regular and I would want to respect your time the most. So you tell me, what time should we begin? Should we wait for some people to join or should we begin immediately? I have also received inputs from some of you that there is a blank screen all the while, and there's loss of enthusiasm in case there is delay, and therefore you switch, you watch offline later. You tell me, I will begin at that particular time. All right. So here we go and begin our discussion for today. All right, interesting articles and interesting editorials, quick and small ones. So let's start the discussion. The first one is the beginning with the snapshot. So we have three important articles in the snapshot section for you. One of them being Swachh Survekshan, Swachh Survekshan, that is for urban areas. The second one being healthcare in urban areas. Healthcare, we have been speaking about it in rural areas, but there's been a report talking about the situation of healthcare in urban India also. We will understand what it is. And then we have a development from pharmaceutical sector. Competition Commission of India has released a report talking about the prevalence of spending in pharmaceutical sector with respect to medical industry, right? Complete medical industry. So all these three of them somehow relate to society, governance, right? Reforms in social sectors, urban areas, and health, right? So this is one. The second one is This Day in History, dedicated to ex-American President John F. Kennedy, right? Featured news for today, a very, very important article considering the energy sector of the country, considering the security, internal security and security of the country. We are talking about cyber security in power sector, right? And if you want to even broaden this term, it will be called as critical information infrastructure safety. Now this is an important keyword, critical information infrastructure, and we will understand in this regard what are the critical information infrastructure in our country. How does power sector fit in? It is not only applicable to power, but banking sector, defense sector, all the things that become important for our country, they are covered under critical information infrastructure. And what are the guidelines specific to power sector and how India can defend them? So this is a part of the feature news, an important article in the upcoming age. Image of the day is on World Fisheries Day, right? That was initiated years back in India itself, and very important for especially the developing countries. We will understand why. Terms and concepts. The four terms that we discussed today are Permaculture, Audit Divas, Urban Canyon Effect, and Puri Heritage Corridor. You can utilize these terms somewhere in the answer. Maybe they have a direct question in this regard sometimes. Urban Canyon Effect, Permaculture, right? And Audit Divas, Puri Heritage Corridor, you can always include them in some of the answer as one of the examples, one of the pointers, right? So Permaculture, this was one of the questions in UPSC exam, prelims exam just this time. This is also a repetitive question. It was asked a few years back and they repeated the same theme. Usually UPSC does not tend to repeat some of the themes. Yes, in economy, some places they repeat the conceptual questions, but this term was repeated, and it was a fairly easy one in this last examination. So we have covered what it means in some context. Editorials, the three editorials that we covered today are some governance issue related to winter air pollution in Delhi NCR. The second one is on farm laws. So what is the right mix? Should government have participated completely in farm reforms, or should it have left to private sector investment and participation, or should there have been a middle path? We will understand what is the business line editorial talking of. And the third one is reliable data and good policy. This is a reform of talking about reform in data collection by the government. All right. Today's case study is on manual scavenging, a very, very good technical case study you can use in science technology, how science is of coming use to people in India, right? So this is it. And I have got some inputs from the people who are regular attendees. Let's respect them and let's listen to them. Azim says 6 sharp is good to go. Bhavani says give 5 minutes time. Amnan says 6. Ashish says 6 sharp. Most people who are joining late join only after a notification is sent to them on by YouTube that video has begun. So even if you start at 6, they'll join as soon. All right, all right. This is a news perspective, Ashish. So you people recommend that we begin at 6, right? So all right, I have understood your input and we will consider accordingly. All right. So let's begin the discussion. Now, the first discussion is on healthcare in urban India. We have divided healthcare sector in various phases, right? So healthcare in India can be divided in urban and rural. It can be divided in multiple other ways. For example, insured, non-insured, out-of-pocket expenditure, and government expenditure, multiple ways. Usually what we tend to do is we talk about the accessibility, the cost, and availability of healthcare in rural India. And we usually tend to ignore what is happening in urban India. What we usually talk about urban India is there are enormous number of hospitals present, there is care and facility available, treatment, affordability, accessibility. This is all high in urban areas. But if you further segregate the community-wise participation in urban health, one will realize that urban class are also of many kinds. So one is the affluent class, and then the other one is the middle class, and then we have the poorer and marginalized people. And it is found that the access of health to marginalized people is far more dismal than the accessibility to the affluent class. The accessibility to health, pharmaceuticals to the poorer class is 10 times slower. 10 times lower than the urban affluent class, right? And this is what Azim Premji University has found out, right? So if you look at the map here, right, now we are speaking only of urban areas. Do remember that, only urban areas. So look at only urban areas in these states, and this is talking about the health center count in those places. So what is the shortfall? The red one is the maximum shortfall and the greenest one is the minimum shortfall. What I can see is Ladakh, what I can see is Sikkim, and then Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and some states in the northeast. What I want to say is that the urban areas here, there is inaccessibility of health services in these urban areas. This is what it means, especially for the poor, right? So health center count is less here. But you go to greener places, that means in urban areas the health center count is better, right? So don't go by the fact that Kerala is also in orange. Kerala is one of the most advanced states as far as the health availability is concerned. But if you see the accessibility in urban areas only, then certain states are doing a little better than them, right? So when you talk about healthcare or education, there are 3-4 important keywords that you should always remember whenever we talk about social sector schemes: availability, accessibility, right? And then affordability. Affordability is cost. AAA. Availability, accessibility, and affordability, right? So these are 3 important things to consider. And now, one important thing that the report from Azim Premji Foundation highlights, is that there is a disproportionate disease burden on the urban poor, right? How do we find out? We find out this through understanding that the average age, life expectancy of an urban poor is lesser than that of the urban rich. See, one of the indicators, right? So yes, you can blame other reasons as well, right? For example, education level is less, and therefore ultimately it comes down to the health status only, because of which people die early. It is as low as 9 years among the men and 6 years among the females, as compared to the richest in the urban areas. So this is an important indicator. Now, considering there'll be inflow of people in the urban areas, should not we start looking at reforming the urban health sector? We must. Now, if you remember, we had spoken innumerable times about the out-of-pocket expenditure. Who is doing that? Urban affluent is definitely doing, but urban poor, it is hitting them the hardest. So start using that data just in these kind of answers. 2/3 of the total spending by Indians is out of pocket expenditure. Use that. talk about government spending only 1.28% of the GDP. It must increase to 2.5%. And total expenditure of health, right, in a country is 3.6%, right, out of which 2/3 is by people themselves. Should not government participate? They must. So this is where you should be, updating your article. Update your article on health sector and write these important keywords here, right? Important data, keywords, facts. See, tenfold difference between the public and private facilities here, right? So financial burden on the poor is far higher because many of them are not insured and they have to resort to these private services, because in public services they are not available, and then they go to private services, there's a tenfold increase in price cost. So this is how they have to bear the brunt, right? What is the way forward? See, all the articles, if they are presenting a way forward, it is only reinforcing what you have written. In case you have not written in your answers, write them down right now. Investment, community participation, building database, healthcare provisions, policy measures. I remember having covered one case study where we spoke about two people who returned back to Jharkhand in their district, home district, and there they started assisting the tribals, the whole tribes of Jharkhand, right? So whole tribe was asked in the question, UPSC exam in a different regard, but it just asked, what are they? Is it a tribal language, tribal people? Is it something else? So the answer could be, found from this discussion of case study. However, what I'm indicating here is those people returned back to Jharkhand and they were using the traditional knowledge. They helped people by using the knowledge of the community itself. They created a community, they started to survey them, and after that they also profiled people. Some people who had traditional knowledge, they started using that in helping people deal with mental health and the other physiological health issues. Two doctors. So you can use that kind of example here in this answer, community participation. See, you can use that. Just that I am trying to show you some part, because quite a few of you have been regular here, and all you need is to start utilizing, where to use these cases, where to use these examples. So I will start doing that now. So this is the incentive of being regular. You not only get data, you start getting places where you could use them, right? So slowly and steadily, you will start to apply your own mind as to where this kind of fact or this kind of answer will actually fit in inside your answers. The second snapshot is on Swachh Survekshan 2021. So this survey is being carried out in urban areas, in towns, and there are three important things that this survey looks at. One is the data collection from municipal corporation, municipal bodies. Second, they themselves go and collect these samples at some places so that there may be authenticity and the margin of error may be reduced. So that is the second one, direct observation. And the third one is from citizen feedback. So this survey was conducted, and Indore was found to be one of the cleanest cities in our country, right? So Indore is the cleanest city, and yet again it has been awarded the cleanest city previously as well. So this survey is for cleanliness, hygiene and sanitation in cities and towns, right? So this is one thing, a lot of data about it, right? So India's cleanest city to Indore, and then followed by Surat and Vijayawada, right? What state is Vijayawada located in? Anybody? And then big city, cleanest big city is Navi Mumbai. Some important facts about it. Biggest mega city, innovation, right? Innovation award goes to Mumbai. Navi Mumbai is cleanest big city in the category of 10 lakh to 40 lakh residents, right? Now see, there are people who contend what is the population of Delhi. Somebody says it is within 1 crore, and then somebody says it is 3 crores. So what is the actual population of Delhi, right? This question has come up to me when we look at the population of Navi Mumbai, New Bombay, considering 10 to 40 lakhs. Now, if you consider the municipal area of Delhi city, municipal area, NDMC, MCD, South Delhi Municipal Corporation, so it is within 1 crore. But if you consider the satellite cities as well, Delhi NCR region, you include Faridabad, you include Noida, you include Gurgaon, you include other smaller cities like Dwarka. Where is it? This is Rohini and this is Dwarka. I have also mapped it according to the places in the direction. So if you see these cities as well, the cities which are closer by, it comes to almost 3 crores. And Delhi will, in fact, surpass Tokyo as the largest urban agglomerate in the coming few years, within 10 years, right? And this is the reason to be able to manage an urban space, to be able to manage health services, the cleaning services, provision of economic services to people. Delhi has in fact thought that it will reduce its municipal dimensions. Delhi city, not the NCR. NCR, Delhi city will try to reduce its scope of governance area-wise also, so that they are able to manage the city better, right? This indicates that there is going to be an incoming population, no matter you do whatever in rural areas, to ensure that urban migration does not happen. Okay. So Azim says correctly, yeah, it is Andhra Pradesh, absolutely. Okay. Priti, absolutely correct. Ashish, yes, it's Andhra Pradesh. Okay, going ahead. So there are some important, other indicators also in this Swachh Surekshan. It says garbage-free city. There are quite a few cities. 9 cities have been declared. You don't need to remember that, but you should just know which are these cities. So whenever Surat comes to my mind, I have never been. It is one of the cleanest cities. It is also one of the places where diamond cutting happens. One of the important destinations for diamond cutting. Diamond is imported or it is brought from other places. It is processed and then sent back again. So you should remember the names of these cities, at least with the relation to cleanliness. So cities are Indore, Surat, New Delhi, Municipal Corporation, and DMC, where Lieutenant's Delhi is located, President's home and Prime Minister's home is located, Navi Mumbai, Ambikapur, Mysuru, Noida, Vijayawada, and Patan. All right. Okay. Cleanest medium city, they say it is Noida, all right, with a smaller population. The third snapshot is on pharmaceutical sector of India. See, important updates about medical industry. If you do not know, let me inform you. All right, let me ask you to begin with, what is the percentage of medical devices and equipments that we import from abroad? If we use 100 of them, in India, medical devices and gazettes, how much of 100 do we import from abroad? This is my question to you. All right. This question becomes very relevant because I would like to share with you the situation of medical industry in India. Medical industry in India is not only hospital industry, it is also pharmaceutical industry. It is also medical insurance industry. It also relates to what are we talking of? Pharmaceutical, hospital, and insurance industry. It also relates to these medical devices in the country. So I'm not receiving any answer as of yet, but even then, let me tell you, it is 80%. We import 80% of medical devices. This was during the times of Corona as well. And India faced this crisis, and that is why we have started PLI scheme in medical sector, so that we are able to become self-reliant in medical industry, right? Not only in fuel, right? Petroleum, we also import 80% of pharmaceuticals. Now, if you remember, we had covered one featured article about medical insurance, right? So medical insurance and having a complete database of medical records. Similarly, pharmaceutical industry, this is one of the outperforming industries in our country, just like India's hospital industries. India is one of the centers which remarkably is one of the thriving sectors as far as the medical industry is concerned. So people from Middle East, people from Africa, people from Central Asia, they come to India so that they can be, cured here of various illnesses. Right? So hospital industry is doing well in our country. We need to have a good, study of it, hospital tourism. And similarly, pharmaceutical industry. We import active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs from China and certain other places. But the complete medicine preparation and its export happens actually from India. So this is a very good step. India exports many of its medicines to Europe, to USA, and other developed countries. So this is a very good thing about pharmaceutical industries. But this key report talks about the fact that the pharmaceuticals, there is a huge amount of out-of-pocket expenditure in pharmaceutical industry also. Out-of-pocket expenditure. If India is the one creating these medicines, should not we be selling it to people at reasonable prices? Now, this is where the report also brings in important points. The report says that as far as pharmaceutical industry in India goes, Indians go by the brand value. We do not go by the content, the generic value of the medication. We go by the brand value, and that is where we end up purchasing those kind of pharmaceuticals which are more expensive, right? So what is जो market होता है वो बिकता है. This is what is the conclusion of one important point of this report. It also says that pharmaceuticals account for 43% of out-of-pocket health expenditure. 43%, almost half of what we are spending out of pocket, it is pharmaceuticals, right? It is not other things. There are other things also. For example, we pay for the doctor, we pay for the medical devices that are used, medical devices, and it accounts to around 60% of the health spending as well, right? So these are big amounts, and they can be reduced if certain things are followed, what is told by Competition Commission of India, right? So one is perception management. If we manage the perception of people, we can give them the generic drugs which are cheaper than the more expensive drugs, right? This is one. Along with that, the brand should not be as important. That means generic drugs should be more important, and the report highlights that brand is what people approach these days. This is one. It says that there is lack of uniform quality regulations in pharmaceutical sector. That is there. The bills are pending here in pharmaceutical and medical devices. There's bills pending which are talking about quality regulation, right? So during COVID times, I myself had gone to purchase one inhaler, and the pharmaceutical person sitting at the desk said, I don't know if it will work. You cannot even return back to me. And 10 of these sellings have happened today itself. 10 more will come tomorrow, and till day after tomorrow. You will not be able to return it back to me. Just take it or leave it. People are taking it. So there is no regulation, standard regulation of these devices, quality regulation. A good example of it. Online pharmacies, of course, they have started to come up, online pharmacies, but there is an issue of privacy, right? Privacy of the data that we give them. What kind of medications are we taking? They have that data, and they can also sell it across. So these are the issues, right? So what is the requirement? To maintain high quality is one requirement. There must be information symmetry in pharmaceutical sector also, and this is where a national digital drug data bank will be created. Drug data bank. Remember we spoke of data bank of test results. So drug data bank also. So they will be able to link all of it to one centralized database, and on the basis of that, every person will be profiled, right? Provided security issues are also handled. Okay, privacy related concerns, and Jan Aushadhi Kendras, right? So this is a scheme which was initiated by the government, that every important hospital be associated with Jan Aushadhi Kendra. Jan means people, Aushadhi means medicine, Kendra means that center. So that generic medicines are sold to people and their out-of-pocket expenditure reduces, right? So do remember that fact on the generic medication and out-of-pocket expenditure, that becomes important, right? So what is a generic drug? See, after a drug is created, right? It is created by some scientist, some lab expert. They gain some rights over its selling, right? So when that right is called as the patent right. But after the patent expires, after WHO norms, it says 20 years you have the right, but after that it will expire. After that, the industries are free to manufacture the same medication and at cheaper rates, right? So till 20 years you will be able to utilize the inputs that you have put in the medication, or you will be able to utilize the profits generated. But after that, it will be open for everybody to work. Until then, only one company. So this is one. But there is a way to even overcome this kind of patent issue. So in case of emergency medications, emergency use medications, we can evade this kind of norm. And this WHO has only provided this particular issue, because of which many drugs have been created by the countries because of their immediate reasons, right? So this is how the process is. Generic drugs are created later, and they are easier to access. They are less costly, but they do not go by more marketing, more productivity marketing, and brand value is not there. And that is why they are not sold very much. They are sold, but not as much. But India is one good exporter of generic medicines. And that is why India is very good, doing very well in pharmaceutical sector. See, one of the data regarding pharmaceutical industry, generic medication, it says is India accounts for 97% of drug consumption, which is about generic medicines. Very good, very good. But is it not contradictory to the fact that we go by brand value? It is contradictory. This is where contradictions need to be, this duality, dichotomy needs to be sorted. That generic medication is not a problem. All right. So this is it. Moving ahead to this day in history, we have dedicated to John F. Kennedy. You can see him in the image here, one of the persons who, one of the best orators. And if you remember, I think it was he who had given the speech, ask not what a country can do for you. Remember that speech, anybody? Ask not what a country can do for you. If you know that speech, you must watch it, right? So he was assassinated on this particular day, 22nd November 1963. There could have been a lot of reasons. There are conspiracy theories why he was assassinated, and he was assassinated during his motorcade travel, right? All right. Feature news of the day is on cyber security in power sector. We are talking of critical information infrastructure, right? Now, critical information infrastructure is under threat throughout the whole world. We have seen a couple of attacks, very, very important attacks happening in America. One attack was on their food meat, one of the largest meat processing industries in America. Another attack was on the oil industry, petroleum industry in America, private petroleum industry. Saudi Arabia also, Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia, one of the largest petroleum exploring countries, processing countries, faced this attack. India has faced this attack repetitively, right? Be it Indian Air India, be it municipal corporations throughout, or be it Aadhaar or COVID apps, all of them has faced this cyber security. And that is why we will understand what is the significance of cyber security in power sector, how is it relevant, what are the issues involved, and a complete holistic article related to it, right? So critical infrastructure, we will understand what is the meaning of critical information infrastructure in our country. This is the keyword, right? So we will understand what are the features that the government has passed in this. Feature news after this video. All right, World Fisheries Day, and it was in India when a few countries, a dozen countries, met on 21st November 1997, and they declared this day as World Fisheries Day, right? So to be able to sustainably exploit or utilize the fisheries resources and to ensure sustainable development of marine ecosystems as well, holistic development. And why did countries meet, and why are of many of these countries are developing in nature? Simply because they are not able to access. There is no equitable sharing of benefits. Equitable sharing of benefits as compared to the developed countries. Developed countries have got trawlers, fast-moving boats. They use exploitative technology. They also fish in those developing countries area. So there needs to be some balance. That is why through Fisheries Day, there is highlighting of these issues. Through negotiations in WTO, all the parties present their opinion and then they reach a consensus. And now the consensus has not been reached, right? We have discussed what is the issue with fisheries sector. And we will keep coming up with these articles. You know why? Because once again, when there is a debate in WTO, there will be some opinion, there will be update, we will update you. So be a part of it so that you are able to cover each and every segment of the current affairs, right? You will be able to relate directly with UPSC the preparation, right? So that becomes most relevant. Permaculture, it was in news. All right. So Mohammad Azim says cleanest state was Chhattisgarh. Absolutely. It is present in all the newspapers with the Chief Minister and Prime Minister presenting the award. Oh, I'm sorry, President presenting the award. That Chhattisgarh was the cleanest state, right? So Amblan 60 to 65%, 40%. Yes, you people are presenting the statistics of out-of-pocket expenditure, right? Not only speak of it, note it down and revise it towards the end of the week. Permaculture, very much in news because UPSC had asked another question on this. Permaculture, very simple. If you go by etymology, the word meaning, perma relates to permanent. Culture, what is culture? Culture is what we cultivate. Anything that we cultivate is culture. So be it pisciculture, fish culture, or be it the culture of wearing some clothes. It's a culture. What we cultivate, what we practice. Be it our values, human values. Do I practice honesty? Do I practice integrity? It is our culture. Some people might practice, something else. So that is a part of their culture. And what are we talking of? Some kind of culture which is more permanent, more sustainable. So if you can relate permaculture to agriculture, permaculture in agricultural sector, this is talking about practices like mulching, Mulching is a practice where we use the stubble or the overgrown parts of the crop which are not in use so that it can be put on the soil, right? They can be part of the organic manure system again before cultivation. This is a part of permaculture. Permaculture did not have a practice of putting fertilizers. It did not have a practice of putting in chemical pesticides. It did not have. That is permaculture, sustainable in nature. But as we started the intensive mode of cultivation, we started giving in more water, hybrid seeds, high yielding varieties, and then we started also giving in certain more inputs. And that was not permaculture, right? So that could be chemical farming, that could be intensive farming in some ways, but not permaculture. So this is whatever I have told you, that will help you in answering the question that was asked in UPSC this time. I hope it gets repeated, right, again. So, but it will definitely come as a part of your answers, agricultural answers in paper 3, right? So intensive agriculture, high density cropping, this is not what permaculture is about. Like, permaculture is more about holistic manner of, all of it. So be it water, be it inputs, be it manure, natural manure, many other practices. That is permaculture, okay? So when you see in the image, so rightly it says, we're talking of animal systems, earth resources, aquaculture, wasteland, water, soil, earthworms, human nutrition, right? Natural buildings, cold climate, all of them, local community, all of them integrated can lead to permaculture. Okay. Second, the second term for today is Audit Divas. It was the first Audit Divas that was celebrated this time, right? That is why in news. Now, the Comptroller and Auditor General is the one who is the person who is responsible for auditing in India. And their presence in the Constitution is also mentioned, Article 148 to 151. These 4 articles are about Comptroller and Auditor General. They are responsible, very, very much responsible persons in India. They are also considered as guardian of public purse. Whatever spending is done by the government, they are the one who account for it, right? So they account if there is an extra spending, if there is less spending, they also present a report on that. If it has been inefficiently done, or it has been or if the expenditure has been done yet it has not been done for the specified purpose, they will point out and the government will have to reply back to it. They present their report to the parliament, and then there is another scrutiny of that report, and after that the government is liable to answer. So we have initiated the first Audit Divas. It was celebrated, and they are responsible because they are a part of governance, transparency and accountability in the country. All right. I have a question which Sam has asked. Sam asks, sir, please explain what is out of pocket. Okay, Sam, out of pocket means whatever I have in the pocket, right? If I have some money in the pocket, I will have to spend it. This is out of pocket expenditure. But if I'm insured, if the government has insured me, then I will not have to take out the money from my pocket and I will have to pay. I will not have to do that. Government had initiated many schemes to so that out-of-pocket expenditure be minimum for the whole country, right? So one very simple example of this. Remember, what was the government scheme? I would like you guys to answer. What was the government scheme initiated just a few years back regarding health insurance? Tell me that. So one was initiating health and wellness centers. And there was another scheme, right? Both these schemes were introduced under Ayushman Bharat. Ayushman Bharat. Ayushman means long age, Bharat means India. Health and Wellness Center, 1.5 lakh health and wellness centers to be introduced in the country so that we provide grassroots infrastructure at primary levels. But to be able to ensure that tertiary and secondary care be given to people, some scheme was introduced. Can anybody tell me what was the name of that scheme? What was the name of that insurance scheme? So this particular scheme ensured that if I'm going inside the hospital, I will not have to spend the money from my own pocket. The government will do it because I have been insured already. Government has ensured to cover around 50% of India's population. 50% of India's population through this particular health insurance scheme, right? And this is how my out-of-pocket expenditure will reduce because I will be insured by the government. So every family, 5 lakh rupees has been allotted per year for these kind of insurance. All right. I am sure that somebody or the other will come up with the answer. Otherwise, I will have to give you the answer. What is the name of the scheme, friends? Ayushman Bharat. Under Ayushman Bharat, there have been two components, health and wellness center, and the second one is insurance scheme. Tell me the name of that insurance scheme. Okay. The third of the term for today is urban canyon effect. What is urban canyon? Canyon is like a very, very narrow and deep gorge, right? Canyon, Grand Canyon, so very deep and it's very narrow and it's very long. What happens in urban areas is very similar to what is a natural urban canyon. Imagine buildings on both the sides, tall buildings on both the sides, and there is very less space where there is passage for vehicles to move. This forms an urban canyon. And this also is responsible for the urban heat island creation because the natural air circulation here is restricted. And in Mumbai, this is what we are seeing these days. There is an urban canyon effect because of which there is more pollution circulating in the air. See, Mumbai is one place where we should ideally find less pollution because it is located closer to marine areas, there is wind blowing, and because of which there should be less pollution. But if we have urban canyon effect, there will be particulate matter present in the air, and because the temperature is decreasing a little, there will be condensation of these small particulate matter, and they'll be settling on these particulate matter as well. So this is why Mumbai is also seeing greater amount of pollution and some fogging in those areas. Okay. All right. The fourth term for today is Puri Heritage Corridor. A good example you can present while India is talking of developing tourism. Just a few days back, we had studied that I had myself said that Puri is one of the places where there is more encroachment of the areas lying adjoining the coastal areas. And now Puri has come up with a plan to develop the complete heritage corridor. And through this, we are not only going to increase the sustainability of this coastal city, but also increase tourism in this place. This will aid better tourism because Puri is one place where the Jagannath Yatra happens in the month of July, right? It is an international place of repute and heritage for our country. So this is why Puri is important. And Puri happens to be one of the 4 dhams, right? 4 important pilgrim destinations in the country. So another one being Badrinath, Dwarka, third one being Puri, and fourth one being Rameshwaram. And can you tell me which are the states where these are located? Where is Badrinath located? Where is Dwarka located? Where is Puri? Puri we know it's in Odisha. And where is Rameshwaram located? Tell me the names of the states. I'll be happy with that. All right. Now, Ayushman Bharat, tell me the name of the insurance scheme. No. All right. 3 editorials that we covered today very quickly. Small ones. One of them is a big one, but yes, I have covered in small. And 2 of them are straight on agriculture, right? So let's talk about what happened and we will quickly understand the issues involved. So the first one is on winter air pollution in North India. This is a part of the Observer Research Foundation, one of the good articles written by them. Now, in the image I have shown the Happy Seeder machine. Happy Seeder machine. We would have heard about it, but I will talk about it today. So this pollution has been a yearly phenomena, right? Yearly phenomena around Delhi NCR region. Yes, National Health Protection Scheme, absolutely. And what is the Hindi name given to it? National Health Protection Scheme, absolutely correct. So moving back to this editorial, this is a yearly phenomenon. NASA has been talking repeatedly that there have been an increased number of fire this year as compared to the last year. So this is happening. And certain people are responsible. We should not hold them accountable straight away. That is the farmers, because the government is also not doing enough, right? Government is only imposing. One should not be burning the crops. But is government providing facilities? Is government providing them alternates? Government is not. So government has come up with the solutions called as smog towers, odd even policy, lockdown of schools. But these are not enough. These are not enough because pollution levels in Delhi are still 380, 420, 450. These are the levels of pollution, and severe to very, very poor pollution. And this is not completely done. They have also held back these construction activities and other day-to-day activities. But the number of FIRs signed is 0. The number of states to be blamed, they are playing the blame game. They are blaming each other for the pollution. What is internal pollution? What is external pollution coming from outside? These are the conversation happening, right? So what is required is for the state to provide the problem, and provide various alternatives and work on the most viable alternative. So some of the viable alternatives, viable, not the most optimal, are one is the use of happy seeder machines. We will discuss about this because this is what the editorial has spoken. Another one is using Pusa decomposer, but it will take time. So can we not use happy seeder? Yes, we can use happy seeder, but there is some issue also with the happy seeder machine. So what is the issue with this machine? See, right now the prices of this machine has gone up very much since the last year. Not only that, this is not the most efficient system. Why people say that is because, see, when you see this instrument which is attached to a tractor, what does it do? The rest of the amount of crop, suppose this was the total crop, suppose this was the height of the crop was taken away by the harvester, this part was taken away, and then automatic thresher also takes out the grains from this crop, but this is the stubble that remains, this height, and this is what is it is then later chopped off with the help of happy seeder. And another part of machine is called as straw management system, SMS. They're both attached to it. This part is taken off, chopped off, and then happy seeder tries to circulate this optimally throughout the whole field, and also it also helps in seeding the next crop also. This is how it does it. But this machine is expensive right now. Also, people had a lot of expectations thinking that this will provide increased efficiency. It is not providing efficiency, increased efficiency in the short term, but the scientists are saying 5 years down the line, it will provide better soil health. See, this is a technique of mulching only, and the cost of this Gazette is the cost for the farmers, but the government is not able to provide this at all the places, right? We have farm practices where we want to share this machine, but it's not available at all places, right? So because of this, we see various reasons, anthropogenic reasons also, like for example, vehicular emission, industrial pollution, waste pollution, all of them also contributing along with burning, right? So this is what is the thing covered. So Bhabani, Badrinath, Uttarakhand, Priya, Uttarakhand, Badrinath, Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu, absolutely. Gujarat, Dwarka, absolutely. Ashish, Badrinath, Uttarakhand. Sam, Uttarakhand, absolutely correct. UK, Gujarat, Odisha, Tamil Nadu. Yeah, absolutely correct. Amlan says, I have a question. National Health Protection Scheme. Yes, absolutely. That is the name. Health Protection Scheme. But there is a name given to it in Hindi also, right? That is the name through which the scheme has become very popular. All right. Tell me that name. Okay. The second one is farm laws. Have been very popular in the last 3 days. All the newspapers covered it. See, it's an irony. Many of you would have studied the farm laws. Why is it relevant? Why is it important? Now they have been repealed. So anyhow, we will have to also understand why it has been repealed. But let's not make this article political, right? We will have to understand what were the issues. Now, there were 3 important laws that were passed by the government, and government had certain objectives to fulfill, and they may have certain important intentions, and we have to understand what was the intention, what was the farm reform required, and is it still required or not? Why did people oppose it? So the 3 bills that were passed by the ordinance route, they were Farm Producers Trade and Commerce, right, Act. This is one. The second is Farmers Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services, and the third one is Essential Commodities Amendment Act. Now their main intention was to ensure that the farmers, now they are mandated to sell their produce only at APMC, mandis, Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee, mandis. Right? You have to go, or somebody will take your product from your home only to sell it at mandis. And mandis have cartelization. They will not sell it for higher rates. You will not get the best prices. They will say, I will take it only for 10 rupees. The other says 11 rupees. The third one says 9 rupees. Although the value of it will be 15 rupees. So this is one. They were trying to privatize the sector that you could sell it to anybody else. The second law spoke about trying to sell it to private people also. So contract farming, the complete management of farm through contract. Now it is happening in some of the other mechanisms, but this was formalizing the whole structure. Now people were opposed to both of it. People said that if you sell it to somebody else, not at mandis, then many people were revolting from these well-off farmers were revolting, and especially those people who were in, intermediaries. So they have their own motives to, be a part of this revolt. Second, if private participation is less, then how will the investment come? Government is also trying to privatize this. So this is what the fear of many of the people, that if you privatize farms, there may be exploitation of farmers. Why not have farm producer organizations? Yes, this is also a way out, absolutely. So that is why probably the government had to bend. The third is Essential Commodities Amendment Act. Through this, many of these commodities which could be placed under some regulations of essential commodities, only this much has to be kept, only some minimum amount has to be kept, all those things, they were unregulated, they were later unregulated. So this was the issue. Now the editorial says that people's perception was that farm laws would result in the exploitation of people, and there would be entry of corporates and agricultural business firms in the market, right? Which is not in in the welfare of farmers, right? So what should have the government done? Should it have put it for privatization, the whole farm sector, or should it have controlled the whole sector by itself, or should it provide a middle path? See, right now, government is controlling a lot of things. For example, government is giving them MSPs. Government is also responsible for redistribution of farm produce, right, through National Food Security Act. Now, we have discussed so many times that instead of giving MSP, cannot we give people some basic income, universal basic income? And then they are free to cultivate whatever they require to cultivate, because paddy is taking a lot of water. Paddy is taking a lot of intensive agricultural inputs, and government is going, because of deficits, there are huge deficits. There are 80,000 crores is being spent for fertilizer itself, and then there is a fuel subsidy, indirect subsidy is there, no, right? Somewhere or the other, the marketing companies are facing the brunt, marketing companies, not the government taxation. And not only that, we look at other kind of subsidy, for example, fertilizer, the electricity subsidy, water issues, there's so many things, and all of them can be overcome if we give them, the farmers, some basic income, and we remove MSP. This is what government has been saying, and if you go by how the modern reforms happen, this is what has been recommended. But farmers are now saying, we will not move away unless and until you provide assurance through a Parliament Act that MSP will be secured to people. See, so this is a deadlock situation. We will see what is to happen, right? Now, this is where, if the government had created a good, surround effect that, yes, this is going to be helpful to you, then this would have maybe created a different perception amongst the farmers. So when a law is passed, its perception is also very important. Perception amongst the people. The perception from the government should not be negative. Why not have the farmers participate in creation of laws? Why not discuss it in the parliament? These are important reforms that were required. That is a lesson for future for everybody. Okay. All right. Yes. Muhammad Azim says the word Jan Arogya Yojana. Jay, Arogya. Arogya, without rog. Yojana. So this is the health insurance scheme that Amlan also spoke, and that all of you were trying to recollect. Jan Arogya Yojana. Okay, good. Sakarai Pandian, hi. Hello to you. All right. So apolitical. Yes, we have to be apolitical because we are not here to become politicians, no? The third one, the third editorial is on reliable data and which forms a good policy. See, Indian government, and for that matter, any government, goes by data, important data. They convert it to statistics, information, and then statistics, and then they try to create a policy on it. Now, issues in India is that the evidence-based information, that is the data that we collect, if that is not provided on time, if that is not accurate, if the government changes the parameters frequently, what kind of policy will we create? The editorial itself speaks that the social economic development in that case will be flawed, right? Now, one important data provided to us is the census, the 10-year, once in 10-year conducted census, decennial census. But the census also has been delayed right now. Not only that, the surveys that we have, these annual surveys, or the family health survey, NSOs, national statistical organization providing surveys, so these are also cropped with some or the other inconsistency. There is delay. If there is delay in providing this kind of data, then you can't even question the data because it was based on previous 6 months back or previous year's input, and then going and checking that data also becomes, we cannot go and reliably check if it was the right data. So moving ahead, not only that, there is also question in authenticity, because the government at times has said that they cannot trust the data. Government itself said the monthly household consumer expenditure of the year 2017 and 18, there are inconsistencies in the data. And after 17 and 18, there was COVID also. So it's until now, and there is no progress on conducting this census. So for 5 years, we have lacked the presence of reliable data for surveys and then government policy execution. So imagine 5 years, and then this is only going to create a snowball effect as far as socio-economic development in the country is concerned. There will be policy rollout, no doubt, but will it be targeted? Will it be helping the poorest of the poor? What we talk of, Antyodaya, that is the question. Reliable data is one of the important keys. Okay. All right. Today's case study is on India's Karamchari, Safai Karamchari workers. Safai Karamchari is a term given to people who are in manual scavenging, right? Manual scavenging is worse off. So people who are Safai Karamchari, they are employed by the government. They are given, proper protective equipment to wear. So they will have some caps, they will have some gloves, they will be using some equipment, gadgets while they work in these places. So manual scavenging relates to two things, the way I understand it. One is cleaning of the sewer drainages, and the other one is participating in cremation grounds, right? So going by the tradition in the country, this kind of work has only been given to India's poorest and the most marginalized communities. And this is one place where we need to start working. People go into the drains and they go without any masks, and this is a drain with sewer. This contains shit. Yeah, so very dense shit, and they have to go inside this drain, and many of them die because of asphyxiation. There's no availability of air, and they are not able to come out in time out of this manhole. So now a new device has been created, right? It is like an umbrella, and what does it do? So this device, it can go inside this particular the small hole, and it will, so while it goes inside, it will only be a stick, but when it goes inside, it will spread like an umbrella, and it will start rotating the dense material here, all that is septic material that has been settled. It will then become more fluid, and once it is more fluid, it can be taken out efficiently. A person will not have to enter and try to mobilize all the material inside, right? So do remember this kind of homosep, right? Homogenizer of septic tank, this inverted umbrella. Do remember this while you talk about technical things which are benefiting India's social sector, right? So a very good way for people to get employed, but something that is eliminating manual scavenging in our country, right? A great case study. And this is how we come to the conclusion of Gazette video. If you like this attempt, do show some love on us through likes, comments and shares, and we will quickly in 2 to 3 minutes we will meet for the feature news discussion. And this feature news discussion is on critical information infrastructure in our country and some of the important government recommendations passed, right? So important, therefore we'll understand this in totality. And thank you for watching. All right, there's some things that people have said. Ashish says, sir, what about giving MSPs on other crops to like pulses so that farmers shift from paddy to pulses, which can be better options? MSP for all crops, MSP for oil seeds and millets. Absolutely. Giving them MSPs is very good. Absolutely. Why not? But my point being, if you are giving them direct inputs, is that also not a way? Give them direct money, allow them to do whatever they want to do. If you look at the calculations, giving them the direct universal basic income that is efficient for everybody, the system itself. If you pass on the MSP, see, it was the Rajiv Gandhi government way back, 30 years back. They had said that if you pass on 1 rupee, only around 5%, that is 5 paise is what reaches the person. And there are so many inefficiencies in the system that as you pass on these kind of subsidies, right? If you pass on MSP, minimum support price, then there will be various other subsidies. So since there are inefficiencies in the system, why not introduce a system where you give the amount to person, allow them to cultivate what the market and what they want to cultivate. This is another way. And this is not only saving money for the government, this is also making things more efficient for the person. They will receive more money as compared to the input that they are receiving, MSP. Imagine they will be receiving maybe 1.5 or 2 times the MSP when the amount of MSP when the universal basic income is given. That is how you should take it. It is more efficient for the whole process, right? All right. Ashish says, Amlan's last question was regarding difference between organic farming and permaculture. Please speak on it. Organic farming definitely relates to permaculture. They are not exactly the same, but they yield to the same thing. See, tell me one thing, was agriculture the the initial thing that that was a part of human habitation? Agriculture, people started to practice, right? It was not the first thing. So first people were hunters, gatherers. They were eating fruits and vegetables, but slowly and steadily they started to clear the places and create farmlands. So when you talk of organic farming, yes, this is what people used to practice, but it was not known amongst people what they're doing. But now, after we have spoiled the whole ecosystem, now we have started to segregate. Oh, this is organic, this is not sustainable, this is inorganic, right? This is not where we are providing inputs, and this becomes more organic. We are not providing fertilizers, we are not providing chemical inputs, not providing herbicides and pesticides. Imagine a time just 200 years back. Did we have fertilizers and pesticides? We did not have. We were using earthworms, natural. So that was organic. And imagine permaculture. Yes, same, very similar, right? So, all right. So Sakurai asks me, sir, 6 months enough for UPSC preparation? 6 months. I think if you are consistent for 6 months, the next few months will not be a pain for you, and you will be able to definitely get a good hang of the syllabus. Good hang of the syllabus. 1 year is the complete cycle of the exam, and then some time is required to start the preparation, and then after that you attempt the first one, right? So it might take you 6 to 8 months to 1 year to prepare the whole portion, general studies, optional, current affairs, and after that you will be attempting the exam, and it will take you 1 year more. If you clear in the first go, it will take you 2 years. This is how it is. All right. So I will meet you guys in the initiative, the next initiative in a quick while, right? I hope I have answered Amlan's and Ashish's question. They relate very much to each other, right? But if you go by the fundamental definition, there is a slight difference, right? Permaculture, look at the word, and look at organic, there is word, right? So thank you for asking the question. We will meet you quickly in 2 minutes. Thank you.